just only 1,500 Thai baht for the Techsauce Summit 2020 tickets. For those of you who like to get the tickets, please kindly join us at book.techsauce.co. Now there are just only 100 tickets available. Again, there are just only 100 tickets available. So you might need to rush to get your early bird tickets. All right, and for now, moving on to our next session. It will be mainly about the partnership. The next session is a panel discussion on successful synergy unlocking the power of partnership. In this session, we do have Kun Krit Paratha Namala, investment advisor at Buoluang Ventures. A round of applause to welcome him, please. Corinne. Next, may I invite Dr. Pao C. Prasad, Vice President, Innovation Department Manager of Bangkok Bank. We are truly honored to have you. Next, may I invite Mr. Richard Jones, Senior Vice President, APAC at Antworks. Next, may I invite Mr. Varun Mitchell, Global Emerging Marketing in FinTech Leader and Associate Partner of Ernst & Young Advisory. And may I invite our moderator for this session, Mr. Ian Mason, CEO at Rainbow Bridge Education. A round of applause to welcome all of our panelists again and our moderator.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session on unlocking the power of partnerships. My name is Ian Mason, and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes or so. A little bit of background on me. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of a dozen startups, including my current role as CEO of Rainbow Bridge Education, a company that I founded to support parents that wanted to play a greater role in their child's education, but did not know where to start. We create books, apps, games, and toys that use AR and VR to deliver immersive experiences. I'm also mentor in residence at Creative Enterprise Australia, and previously co-created Virgin Startups, so Richard Branson's not-for-profit, helping entrepreneurs to start, fund, and scale their business. We have an all-star panel here today to talk about the importance of partnerships. So why is this important? Why are we here talking about successful partnerships? Well, a successful partnership creates a win-win solution. It creates more than the sum of its parts. Partnerships allow the building of networks, the curating of strategic assets, the accessing of different market segments, customers that your brand couldn't otherwise access. It can broaden relevance and it can expand the horizons and skills of employees. For example, PayPal. PayPal's goals for partnerships include things like increased conversions from merchants, the ability to expand their services and to create better experiences. And one manifestation of this was that the partnership between Canada Post and PayPal that created a convenient and easy-to-use shipping and payment solution where the common goal was to support small businesses to scale. But what about traditional financial institutions who want to undertake non-traditional activity? For those institutions, an accelerator or incubator can provide crucial support in terms of ideation, exploration, experimentation, and the piloting of certain approaches and solutions. So how does this all work? Well, today, it's my pleasure to host this panel of individuals who've done just that here in Bangkok through the building of a successful partnership. And I'd like to start with Dr. Pao. Welcome. Could you please introduce yourself and talk to us about InnoHub?
Okay, my name is Pao. I have been assigned to be the manager of innovation department at the Bangkok Bank. Our department just established in the beginning of this year, and my background is engineer and science, not banking. So my main job is confusing the audience and also the people, particularly my boss. My boss also here also. And I also assigned to be the lead of the InnoHub program. Bangkok Bank InnoHub program is an accelerator program. Why we launched such a program? The reason is very simple, because we are the large corporate. We are not fast enough. We cannot develop everything by ourselves in the short time. why the customer behavior is changing rapidly. And also our industry has been disrupted. For us, the Accessor, the InnoHub program is a tool for us to bring in outside innovation and to be one of the change agents for the internal transformation. This is a really simple introduction.
Thank you very much. Could you describe for us the model for InnoHub and how it's adding value to the market, helping fintechs to scale?
Okay, good question, because actually there are so many programs in Thailand now. What it make we are different from the other? I think they have made 3 points. The first point is we are the first global fintech accelerator program in Thailand. We are looking for the startup around the world, not just only the Thai startup and also the regional startup. The second, we focus on the proof of concept or POC with the startup, that allowing them to test usability, feasibility, and provide solution for the bank product and service. If the startup can pass the POC, if the project go well, then we partner with them to launch commercialized product or service together. And number 3 is our mentor in the program. All of them are executive from many business units. I think this is not only benefit for the startup that they can learn from the real expert in this area, but also benefit to us, our executive, that they can engage and export the new innovation, new technology, and can learn from the startup working culture, mindset, and then we can use them to adapt, improve our internal also.
Wonderful, thank you. InnoHub is a partnership. You've created a partnership in order to do this. Can you talk to us about those partners? And in particular, how did you identify them? What were the things that you were looking for?
Also, this is a tough question. Actually, I don't have I can share what I'm thinking. When we look in the partnership, we will encounter many choices of player to collaborate with, but we may not be able to partner with them all, right? So usually we start in win-win situation and condition by utilizing both party expertise, network, resource versus trend of industry. And then we evaluate the trust and reliability of the person, founder, co-founder, and management team. We also, there is another aspect in the complex world. One partner may have conflict interest of the another party who we want to partner with. To manage this complication, we have to establish, very important to establish the trust through the communication, expectation set up, everything must be clear. And finally, this is our approach. We are looking for the establishing the long-term partnership, not just transactional partnership, because we think it's not, it's beneficial only in the short term, not, it cannot create competitiveness. So we might be selective, but once we believe they are the right ones, so we guarantee we will be their best partner for the long term. This is my philosophy.
Oh, thank you very much. I think a successful partnership is one that has like a unifying goal, one thing that everybody's sort of striving to achieve. What were the goals of the partnership when you set up InnoHub, both from the startup perspective and from the more corporate perspective?
I believe the collaboration with the tech startup and large corporate, it can fostering innovation. When there are so many goals that we have to think for, but I can give some example for the corporate perspective. The first one is to explore and discover external innovation and disruption. The second one is customer focus, because the startup can adapt their solution more easily, allowing the corporate can focus and serve its customer better. And number 3, an entrepreneurial and agile culture. As I mentioned previously, working with them can help to drive the corporate innovation. And number 4, I think will be the new revenue stream and business lines. Startup can help us to open and create a new market. For the startup perspective, I think Richard can answer better than me, but from the startup perspective, in my point of view, the first one definitely will be revenue and independent from the external capital. As corporate can invest considerable amount of money, corporate can free the startup the need to seek the outside investment. The second is the scalable customer base, because one of the most challenging for the startup is scale, how they can scale. Therefore, if the partnership can go well, startup can utilize the corporate's customer base to expand their company. And number 3 should be success story for the future sale. Because partnership, the startup can use this partnership for their as the reference site for their next sale. And number 4 should be market knowledge and mentoring. This is my opinion.
Thank you. That's great. Creed, please can you introduce yourself and perhaps describe your role and your part in the partnership that we've just learned about?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Creed. I'm leading the Bulong Ventures. This is the 2.5 years old of wholly owned subsidiary of Bangkok Banks. So we are starting the company with the investment perspective, with the partnership concept, with our potential investments. Let's say like we create the theme of the investment into 2 or 3 areas. The first one would be more on the private equity side. We are doing in terms of like financial investment for financial company which normally banks cannot do. And we create long-term partnership with them because we know all their customers could in the future, when they grow up, they could become bank customer in the future. Second choice that we also doing is on the startup. Let's say like we cooperate with the InnoHub programs and look at in terms of the startup. See like how can we help in terms of growing the company in the futures. And most of the company when they coming to us, generally they have products. They launch a product already, they're growing in a certain level. But to grow another stage is the key. What we can see all those companies would be they try to change their business model, which we have to advise. If you are doing this way, we may not be able to comfortable with it. We have to advise them on how to grow the business in terms of the long term view.
Wonderful, thank you. Can I ask what you think so the value is from your perspective of startups that have gone through a program like InnoHub? Why would they go through something like that from your perspective?
Yes, I think because of all those startups, they have opportunity to work with the incumbents like banks, and particularly for the second season, they work deep, closer with all the business units. And we as the Bulong Venture, we also look at investment opportunity to grow the company to another stage.
Okay. And how have you kind of leveraged that partnership? What are you looking for from businesses when you decide to invest?
Okay, the successful of the POC is the one choice, but the key thing is the strategies to develop the markets after they have the products is the key.
Okay, thank you very much. Richard, you're the founder of Antworks. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Antworks, and perhaps your experience of the program?
Sure. Thank you. Senior Vice President, not the founder. I would love to claim being the founder.
Apologies. You should have just kept quiet.
It's funny that my wallet falls out of the back pocket as I say that. We were successful in actually being selected to be part of the program. In and of itself, it's gone again. In and of itself, that was actually an interesting exercise. 30 seconds as a video pitch, 2 minutes as a further pitch, 30 minutes as a conversation in a Dragon's Den Q&A, and then a selection from 127 global companies down into the winners. So for us, getting through that process in and of itself was a success and a win. Being engaged into the process for us, having now looked at multiple different accelerator opportunities, we can certainly say we think we have the gold star in this process. It's been so different for us walking into an opportunity where the executives come with an agenda. It's not an ideation activity. It's a change activity for the bank. It's a change activity for the market, in our opinion. So what is it that Antworks do? We are, in our world and our belief, the next generation of automation, process and data digitization companies. We too are very scientifically based, and we try to make the complex simple And we also do a very good job at confusing lots of people as well.
So what is it that you do?
Exactly. So we are here to make people's lives better in the everyday work job. That's a simple statement that everyone can understand. Operationalizing business processes so decisions are made faster in a simpler fashion in today's world.
So why did you join the program?
We joined because...
And just for a bit of background, you've done a sort of $50 million raise.
Yeah, so a bit of
prior to
background.
coming in.
We've gone through Series A, $15 million. We're in Series B, north of a large amount of money.
Currently in Series B?
It's finalising Series B.
For anyone that's interested?
So we're now global in our presence. We're in four kind of continents around the world, just over 330 people. So we've got about 156 plus companies globally. So the agenda, as Dr. Powell said, selecting startups that have high potential promise, which means we've gone through a number of pains. We've experienced what it's like to drive into markets. But to drive into markets where the culture and the fundamental way of doing business is different, and how to engage at such high-level cooperation is the reason why we actually chose the program. And I can safely say that the 90-day journey and what we've achieved going through that has been a very rewarding and tireless activity. But we truly believe now that we've got the right partner as well to take Thailand 2.0 digitization from a language perspective to the next level.
Okay, wonderful. You just talked about sort of breaking into a new market in that sense, but what would you say were the other challenges of scaling a business like yours, and kind of what value can a partnership or a program like this one do in terms of helping you to do that?
Yeah, so we categorize our markets relatively aggressively, and we look to see where the fastest return with the simplest entry and the safest way of doing it exists. When you select a partner who's the largest banking enterprise in a market to be your premier customer, ultimately as that desire, and then utilizing that to get the rest of the market, it's a pretty simple decision. So the reason for us kind of looking at this was that. Why did we see the market as a difficult entrant, trying to hire people that understand our business and understand the local market as well at the same time, and the access to talent. It was a really big thing for us in terms of how we scale. So being able to have a key market partner was the really big choice for us.
Okay, and I think, again, you've alluded to a couple of things already, but what do you think were the most valuable elements of the program?
Feedback. Very supportive feedback from the business unit heads around whether we were on track to meet their outcomes or not from the proof of concepts we were doing. The number of deep dive sessions with the business so that we can understand the real challenges from our world as we see it to help them in their world. The mentorship, the actual market knowledge that we gained. How do you establish your business entity in Thailand? And the best way to do that. How do you go source a place to set up your offices, and what are the important factors? These sorts of things you wouldn't get just selling to a customer. So these are really critical things that we took from it.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Varun, thank you for joining us. Could you start just by telling us a little bit about yourself and your role at EY?
I'm Varun. I run our FinTech practice for all emerging markets globally at EY. And technically you would see, why would a consulting firm do that? So from a background perspective, I used to run the first pan-Southeast Asia wallet called HelloPay. We used to have a Type C3 license from BOT here in Bangkok as well. And we had a similar one in every Southeast Asian country. And we sold that company to Alibaba. So Ant Financial now owns that. So I come from that side, and we felt once we moved from that company that when startups wants to scale up, they need help, which they need somebody else to help them get to the big stage. And consulting firms have worked with banks, have worked with incumbents for long enough, so they can help them go to the next level. So that's what I do. So the practice I run, whose job is to bring the right companies to people like Dr. Pao, that these are the companies just solving these problems with so-and-so bank in other markets. How do we replicate it here? And I take his companies and I take them to other clients in other markets.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so I was going to ask you actually, what was your role in terms of kind of supporting some of these businesses? So it's probably just that. Was there anything else?
So, a couple of times is more of, here are the new kind of problem statements which banks are looking at.
Right.
Because you see, you can start from three ways. One, you look at, okay, these are the domains I want to work on.
Yes.
Data, cybersecurity, you can start from that. Other way to look at is, these are my customer problems I want to solve. That customer wants to have everything on phone. Customer wants a decision to be done in 3 minutes.
Right.
Or the third lens is you look at it from a bank's perspective. That these are my problem as a financial institution which I want to fix. Or these are the things I want to improve. So the key aspect of somebody who looks at things across the region is to bring, here are the things which other places have looked at. Can some of these resonate? Because a lot of times you have an idea, but when you see something, that's what I want. Think of it like a Netflix. You don't go and type, this is the movie I want to watch. You scroll through, you discover, you identify, you explore, and then you embark on the journey. So my job is to be that Netflix for our partners.
That is something I didn't think you would say. Okay, that's very cool. All right, I like it. Okay, we had a chat the other day, and you had a few interesting things to say around the importance of kind of having a strong shared goal when it comes to creating partnerships such as this. So perhaps you can tell us how important that common goal was in this particular scenario.
Absolutely. A lot of this, I mean, we have two startup founders other than myself. A startup founder says, what's your end goal? They'll say, I want to do IPO. Other will say, I want to sell. I want to exit in 3 years. So a key part in any of this partnership, as Dr. Pao says, is win-win. It's okay. An exit is not a bad outcome. The question is an exit to who? So if you are saying, my product is faster, agile, we do not have a 10,000 global people bureaucracy, and that's why we are committed to you, and we can make things happen, and we can take decision fast. But by the way, our objective is to sell our company in 3 years to that large company. Then we have a challenge. Because for all the stuff, all the qualities and beauty for which I want to be with you is going to be gone away, and you are actively working towards taking that exact magic away. So how do you ensure that the common goals are there to ensure that the magic stays? It's not a dating. It's a long-term relationship. So that's the key part, and that's what my job is, to bring together that questions. Ask those questions that, okay, what's your runway? Who are your investors? Do you have a corporate investor who's going to look long-term? Or do you have an investor who has somebody else knocking at his door, when are you selling? When are you selling? Or you have somebody who wants to grow this thing, who nurture this thing. So that's when you bring the bank, the investor, all of that along, and see where's the journey. It's not an path to exit. And because people also always think, what if the startup fails? I'm like, that's an easy problem to solve. It fails, you find something else to do. That's an easier problem. The tougher problem is when it succeeds, because then it's tough for you to take it out. How do you solve that? How do you bake that into your planning? And whereas your CVC arm comes in to help you navigate that also. So that's what I bring to the table.
Thank you very much. Let's take things a little bit more broadly now. EY does an awful lot of kind of horizon scanning. What do you see as being the biggest changes facing financial services, FinTech, in the coming years?
The biggest change is the democratization of access. So financial institutions had two main things. A regulatory cover, which allowed them to do a fractional banking system, and distribution. Now the distribution part is under attack. And the people who have distribution, whether it's ride-hailing companies, e-commerce companies, they are saying, we will we will want to do financial services, but we will go after the most profitable segments. We would not want to do the whole suite. We will go after these. And that's where it's a key part is, how do financial institutions do not become what SMS became to telcos? If you ask how many of them use SMS since morning and how many of them use Line and WhatsApp. So the key part for the financial institutions is how to not become SMS.
Very interesting, thank you. Dr. Pao, if I can come back to you. What do you think the future looks like for partnerships in FinTech, and what are your other areas of focus in the innovation ecosystem?
So from the future look like in the partnership, I think that now, if you can see the FinTech or the startup, they move from the B2C type to the B2B or B2B2C more. And I think this model will be win-win situation for both parties. And for my path in the innovation part, I can introduce what we are doing in the innovation department in the Bangkok Bank. We are still a small team, but we are growing fast also. In our department, we have the 3 main units, the one in R&D team. R&D team consists of the data scientists, AI and machine learning engineer and developer. Their main focus is on building the in-house capability of the new digital technology. And the second unit we call the external engagement. So this unit will be explore, collaborate and partner with the external party, be it a startup, tech vendor, a big tech or research institute to bring in outside innovation to the bank. And InnoHub program is a tool for this unit. And then the R&D team and external team, mostly we recruit from the people from different industry. They from the retail, telco, software house, tech vendor. They speak different language with the people inside the bank. So we need a third unit we call the internal engagement, because this unit is very important when the R&D team create the new things, external engagement being the solution from the startup. The next challenge is how we can make those things to become the commercialized product or service or improve the internal process. So we need this internal to coordinate with the existing unit, be it IT, legal, audit, compliance analyst, and also the business unit to make this happen. If this unit cannot achieve this goal, I can say our department will become the new silo. This is what I thought.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we started the session today by asking how can we unlock the power of partnerships. We've been given some excellent insight from our expert panel here. Let's give them all a big round of applause. I think from my perspective, there are 5 things that I took away from the discussion, really. The first was the need to kind of identify the gap, the opportunity for innovation, and methodologies for doing that, which we've heard a little bit about. The need to leverage the strengths of each partner, and we've seen a broad range of expertise here that's gone into InnoHub and the startups that participate in there, or the businesses that do. The need for open and effective communication channels. Something that is quite difficult to do. The need for clear objectives and metrics, and you've heard from almost everybody about what they were looking for in terms of outcomes from something like this. And then, of course, the need for that common goal, the one thing that binds all of those partners together as they look to collaborate. Thank you again to our panel for their discussion today, and thank you all for listening. A little plug, if you'd like to hear more about InnoHub, head over to Workshop Room 2, where you can see InnoHub in action with a hands-on experience in developing a Thai language chatbot for business. So that's InnoHub, Thai language chat hub for business, a chatbot for business. Workshop Room 2, starting in a couple of minutes at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much.
And for this session, thank you very much, Mr. Ian Mason. Thanks for joining us this session. And thank you very much, all panelists.